everybody, it's Michael Levitis with Alpha Insider, and I bring you back Olga Zakinova, a premier real estate broker and associate real estate broker with Douglas and Elliman. Olga, welcome back.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for having me again.
It is always a pleasure. It's amazing to hear from you. A lot of useful advice. And today we're going to talk about yet another real estate topic, an important one, a popular one. We have talked in the past about how to prepare yourself to buy a home, right? How you have to prepare your documents to get pre-approval with mortgage company and so on. But for those who are buying co-ops in New York City, in New York State, you have to prepare yourself in a whole other way because now you have a board to deal with, right, Olga?
Absolutely.
So let's make this video educational, interesting for people who are looking to buy a co-op and for other real estate brokers and agents who maybe are not as familiar as you with co-ops and should prepare their clients so they're ready to get into a transaction. Olga, the stage is yours.
Well, Michael, let's talk about co-ops today a little bit because co-ops is the majority of the business that we cover here in Queens. Fortunately, we have a lot of buildings here that were recently converted into co-ops, and pretty much it's very, very important for buyers when they're submitting their offer to be qualified. I would say not even when submitting their offer. I think even prior to even starting to look for an apartment. All right. To me, I know the formula. I know how to qualify my buyers. But in many cases, we come across a lot of agents that are newbie into the business, and they have no idea what everything I will just about to cover, what it is all about.
Olga, I'm sorry, for those agents, for these buyers who are looking to get into co-op market, let's just get it to the basics. What is a co-op? What's the difference if you buy, shortly, if you buy a co-op as opposed to buying a condo?
Well, condo is the same thing like a house. Pretty much, you don't have to go through a board to get an approval of whomever you're going to sell your apartment to. You don't need to go through the board if you would like to rent your apartment down the road. It's pretty much treated the same type of an ownership as a residential primary home.
Correct.
With co-ops, you are part of, it's like a business. You're like part of a corporation, and you need to abide by the house rules and the building rules and the corporation.
Yeah, that's a big difference because now you have to get along with other people
in the
corporation, other shareholders, because you actually give them shares as opposed to a title.
Exactly. So when it comes to buying a co-op, it is very, very important. And before you even start looking, unless you just want to look, you don't want to buy. There's a huge difference between just looking and not buying. Okay.
Window shopping.
Exactly. In many cases, I believe that it's such an intense process that a lot of my clients, when they start to look around, they are looking for a purpose. And the purpose is because they're looking to upgrade or downsize in their life, right? But in many cases, when I'm dealing with the first-time home buyers, those that are buying co-ops for the very, very first time, it is super important for them to be prepared to have their down payment, which is minimum, in many cases, minimum 20%. And all the money, all the funds must be seasoned for at least 3 months.
What does that mean, seasoned?
Season meaning that the money have to be not under the mattress stashed up with cash. The money has to be in your bank accounts, ready to be written by checks, which is extremely important.
Got it.
Right? So 3 months minimum, we're looking backwards. Now, 20% down is the minimum requirement. In many cases, it could be also 25. All right. So the money must be in your banking institutions for a while. Now, when you're coming into us to present an offer, we look at multiple things, but one of the most important things is the 20% down and then liquid cash after the closing, up to 12 months. If you don't have 12 months liquid cash available to you in reserves, co-ops in many cases will turn you down. All right.
That's money for what? To pay the maintenance?
This is the money for reserves to pay in case of any kind of health issues. What if you lost your job? What if we just had a pandemic, right? People lost their jobs. People had no money in the bank. People just couldn't work. So co-ops are nowadays even more stricter after pandemic. and requiring even more liquid assets in the banks.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to my clients, I look at pretty much everything as far as their assets total. Okay, but we'll talk about it a little bit further into it.
Okay.
Now, the next thing is, remember the most important thing, that I have to be able to sell your offer, not only to the seller to get it acceptable, but also the bank has to appraise the property and make sure that it's acceptable to the bank. The third thing is, so the seller, the bank, and now I also have to be able to sell your candidacy to the co-op. Now, if I don't have everything on your end well coordinated, it's almost impossible to get your offer accepted, because this is the very first thing that we do. We verify everything up front.
So you got to prepare a whole package and
Correct.
present it to the board.
Correct. We don't want to put you in the contract just for the sake of you getting into the contract.
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of everybody's time. So now we are in the position where almost 99% out of 100, we represent sellers of a co-op, meaning that when they hiring us, they clearly request and understand that we will do the due diligence to verify everyone's credentials. Meaning
That's great. I like it, because you don't have to. This way, nobody wastes their time. Not the buyers, not the sellers, nobody. They come in, they're ready with a whole package, and you can tell them right away, you guys are in. No, now it's not right away, but you should get an idea if they have a chance to get in or not.
99.9% of our buyers, when they go before the board, they are approved.
Good.
Okay, unless they're going to intentionally do something stupid to get themselves rejected. But in my case, I vet my clients so well that I will not even allow for this to happen. I prepare them in advance. We talk about all the requirements. We talk about all the demands, wants, and needs that co-op really expect out of you when you go into a board interview. So not only my job is to prepare you with co-op preparation to get you passed and approved, but also we go and we meet multiple times with our buyers before the interview and preparation into the submission.
Yeah, because besides the financials, there's also the personality aspect. They also want to interview you personally, see if you fit into the culture of the building, right?
Yes, none of the co-op business corporations would like to make sure that you are getting into the building that you don't look right, you don't smell right, you don't act right. I mean, they really, really would like to make sure that down the road, they will not have any problems with you as the shareholders in their building.
And we talked about it before, how you want to reform the system, because right now the board can deny you for any reason, and they don't have to give you a reason.
No, they don't
actually propose that in New York there should be at least a law that the board should explain why we deny you, so that you know, and for your other meetings, you know what to do.
Absolutely. So next is the credit. Okay. Absolutely. The most important part is for you to have a good credit. Anything above 750 is considered for co-ops okay. Anything above 100 is perfect. Okay. So keep in mind that your bills must be paid on time. Any delays, any late payments will reflect on your credit score and credit reporting agency. Now, keep in mind that every co-op management, prior to submitting the package to the board for review, they're running their own credit history on you. Every application has a check that they request from you as well. Prior to submitting the board package, they need to get the payment so they could run their own credit report on you, your wife, your family, whomever is getting into the building. So meaning that your credit must be absolutely pristine. No lates, no delays, no bankruptcies, none of that. If you have anything on your credit that shows like that, Coop Board will not approve it. Very simple. So then we're looking into DTI, debt to income ratio. What does it mean? It means that absolutely no more than 30 to 35%, anything above 30 to 35%, that's considered already too high. We need to stay below that number. So most of my co-op requirements are about 28%. Okay. So 28% DTI, meaning that when you submitting your application to the board for review, your DTI should be below 28 to 30%.
Understood.
Meaning,
So not too much debt.
correct. Meaning that everything that you are spending on monthly basis should remain under 30%. Okay. And then we talk about pretty much the down payment, the income, the DTI, and the credit. So the income also has to be in a position where you need to make sure that it covers all your expenses. You cannot buy an apartment and then in the end of the day, after you close on it, you have no money left in the bank. That will not be acceptable. So when it comes to co-ops, it is very, very important that we verify and we confirm all those 4 items. Unless those are very well presented, remember, the seller will not accept your offer. That's step number 1. Number 2, the bank will have problems getting you pre-approved.
Right.
Because if the banks are not satisfied with your credentials, you will also not qualify to get a mortgage financing.
That's
and
very
the
true.
third part is the board. So once we get the package of all 3, then we are a total success.
Okay, perfect. That's a very good, complete explanation because you want to be completely ready for the board and for the banks. A lot of times they're looking for the same thing, but it looks like co-op boards are even more strict. I just want to add one more thing. Olga, I've seen that people want to go to their neighborhood bank they have worked with in the past to get their mortgage on a co-op, and the bank may tell them, nope, we don't do this particular co-op. So I think it's also important that people check with their bank, or they go to their real estate broker like you and ask, as far as you know, which banks already approved this co-op, so you don't waste your time. Am I right?
Yes. Well, Michael, I'm glad you brought this up because it is very, very important for us to deal with the bank that has the particular building approved on their approved list.
Right.
And this is the conversation that I usually have with mortgage brokers before we even put a deal together. Not only I verify that they did their due diligence to verify buyer's credentials, and they provided the pre-approval that's legitimate pre-approval with all those documents being verified. Also, on top of it, we make sure that the building is on the on their approved list.
Correct.
So unless the building is not on the bank's approved list, and in many cases it's not, then it could be also a challenge.
Yeah.
In my case,
time. You want to go straight to the broker or to the bank that has this building approved. And by the way, how do they approve it? They check the financials of the building itself.
Correct.
They check how many units are sold by the sponsor.
Correct.
So who controls the board. So it's actually a good exercise. A lot of times, if you see most of the banks did not approve the scope, that could be a red flag, no? Could be.
It could be a huge red flag. A lot of buildings, I know from my experience, and I will tell you this up front, Michael.
Yeah.
I have preferred buildings. I have buildings that I prefer to do business with, and I have buildings that I turn down when they call me to represent them. Because if I know as a broker representing a co-op seller up front that this co-op has bad history, the financing will be a problem, then I do not want to even take that listing, because then it will be a challenge for me to find a buyer and then get them financing.
Yeah.
If the buyer is a cash buyer and they willingly understand that there is a problem with financials in the building because there was some goofy activity and they filed for bankruptcy, or they don't have good savings in their budget, then it's a different conversation.
Yeah, because every time you're buying a property or buying shares in a co-op, you have to think about the future. What if in a few years I want to sell it, and my next buyer is going to be concerned about the financials of the building, not going to want to buy it? You're creating for yourself potentially a problem. Okay, but this is what we do here to educate people so that they can avoid problems. They know how to prepare themselves. So I suggest, if you're looking to buy real estate, anything, co-ops, houses, condos, you look at our videos. You look at our videos with Olga Zakinova, because she is an expert on real estate, has done it for years, has seen it all in all types of properties. So may as well be prepared. Listen to free advice that's given to you. This is why we're making this time investment commitment to do this on a weekly basis, to put out new videos to educate the public that wants to buy real estate. Olga, thank you very much for your time. And we're going to bring you back shortly because I have a few more questions for you.
Thank you.